Good morning, everyone. We'll be joining the resource person soon. Please bear with us. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I welcome you.
Good morning. Good morning. Gitanjali, how are you?
Well, I'm good, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine, fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So we'll be starting soon. I'm just waiting for Madam Principal to join us.
No problem. No problem. As soon as she will join, I will be here with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Shall we start?
Hello. Hello, Dr. Nisha. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. हाँ जी मैम.
ये ना माइक्रोफोन पता
Yes, ma'am. जी मैम.
ये आप उधर से तो नहीं बंद कर रहे तो अपने
So there's some technical error with Madam Principal system. So just, I think she'll take another 2 minutes more.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Dr. Nisha. Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर. कोई वो लैपटॉप में टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम आ गई है, इसलिए मैंने फोन से ज्वाइन किया है.
This is usually happens. Digital
Yes.
education has a problem.
Digital gap actually.
Some few members are not able to join. Please let them in.
Yes, ma'am, because I'm just doing that only simultaneously. Yes, ma'am. Because we have already reached the 91 mark, but we are online on the YouTube also, so they can join there also, ma'am. Ma'am, shall we start?
Yes. Gitanjali,
Okay,
please
thank you
start.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. A warm morning to respected dignitaries and my dear students. I take this privilege to welcome our honorable resource person for this program, Professor Lakhwinder Singh, Department of Economics, Punjab University, Patiala, Madam Principal Dr. Nisha Bhargava, our HOD of Economics Department, Ms. Madhi Bajaj, my fellow colleagues and participants. I welcome you all to the National Symposium on A Glimpse into the Punjab Economy, the Breadbasket of India, organized by the Department of Economics, Mahajan DAV College for Women, Chandigarh. Mahajan DAV College for Women, a premier institution for women's education in North India, was established in 1968 to commemorate the exemplary contribution of Justice Mahajan to the cause of education. Each day, we at MCM family have aimed to brighten and enlighten the lives of our students for the better. The institution enjoys peerless reputation in the spheres of higher education for women and has remained ahead of times with its innovative programs and infrastructure. We are one of the largest institutions devoted to women education for the past more than half a century, with a strength of more than 5,300 girls. Our college is under the supreme leadership of Padma Shri awardee Dr. Poonam Suri sir. The institution has re-accredited with A grade by NAC in November 2016. We have been consistently ranked among the topmost colleges in the region by India Today, The Week, and The Tribune in their yearly surveys. Our college was honored by the visit of President of India, and it was also his first visit to any college of the country as a president. The college has received the singular national honor of being the premierest residential college in the country in the National Swachh Campus ranking 2018 by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, MHRD, Government of India. It also won the All India third rank in Best Citizen-led Initiative in the Swachh Sarvekshan by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India in 2019. Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India selected our college as training center for the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. We have won Punjab University Women's Journal Efficiency Sports Shield 39 times, and we have accorded star status by Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology. We have won many such awards. We have a referee and UGC approved research journals by the name of New Horizons. We have also an annual publication by the name of Mehr and a newsletter as well. Postgraduate Department of Economics was established in the year 1968, and Economics Honors was introduced in 1991. And Postgraduate Department of Economics started in the year 2012 as well. Even in the times of pandemic, our department efforts didn't stop, and we have conducted diverse activities during the last years. Here are the glimpses of some of such activities being conducted. There are some of the distinguished alumni who are making and have made our department proud in diverse areas. Now, I would like to invite Madam Principal Dr. Nisha Bhargava to enlighten us all. I would also like to throw light on the fact that Madam has always led by example. Not only is she committed academician, researcher, and research supervisor with impressive publication, but also member of Punjab University Senate, member of State Legal Services Authority, and NET assessor, and a reviewer of elsewhere journals Energy and Buildings. Ma'am, now I please invite you and welcome you to say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Gitanjali.
Thank you.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible now.
Okay, thank you. Professor Lakwinder Singh ji, Professor of Economics from Punjab University, Patiala. He is our guest speaker for today. Mrs. Madhvi Bajaj, Head Department of Economics. Dr. Gitanjali Singh, Assistant Professor of Economics. Other faculty members and very dear students. I feel privileged to welcome you all on this lecture on Punjab economy, that is the breadbasket of India. Punjab is rightly called the breadbasket or the food bowl of India. The remarkable land of Punjab has been for many centuries irrigated by the majestic Indus water system, and the Punjab plains are one of the most fertile plains in the world. The agricultural productivity in the state is very high, and the state contributes a large share in the central pool of food grains, and hence the name food basket of India. However, being the food basket has not been easy. In fact, it has come at a huge opportunity cost. The agriculture-led growth of the state initially brought very rapid agricultural development and consequently resulted in green revolution and fast economic as well as human development in the state. However, on the other hand, it has led to lopsided industrial development and increased income inequalities. Moreover, there is a serious problem of declining water table due to mindless withdrawal of groundwater, which has been facilitated by increased number of tube wells due to free electricity provided by the state government. And there are some serious issues related to human health conditions which are deteriorating due to excessive use of insecticides and pesticides in agriculture. Another burning problem is the prolonged brain drain and large-scale migration of youth from the state to other countries, because they are looking for employment as employment opportunities are not available in Punjab. So, battling on different fronts, Punjab economy is currently facing an identity crisis as well as a credibility crisis. Moreover, the mounting debts and stagnating agricultural production, and more recently, this corona pandemic, these things have proved to be big shocks for the state economy. Today, we have a senior economist amongst us who specializes in Punjab economy, and he will enlighten us on various problems faced by the state, and he will also guide us about the way forward. So now I will not go very deep into the topic, and as we are all keen to listen to our speaker, so now I will once again welcome Professor Gill, and I express my gratitude to you, sir, for sparing your valuable time for us today. And I appreciate this wonderful initiative taken by the Department of Economics, who have invited him for today's discourse. I also welcome the participants who have joined in large numbers to make the event successful. I am sure that with a resource person of this caliber, our audience will gain some very good insights into the topic of discussion today. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, ma'am. In the field of economics, new in the current scenario and having the skill to apply, it is what holds the key. That is why we have organized a symposium on a currently relevant topic. The objective of the program is to foster the knowledge about Punjab economy with special reference to Punjab Budget 2021. Punjab, land of 5 rivers, holds place of pride among the Indian states for its outstanding achievements in agricultural development. The state has witnessed tremendous increase in the agricultural production, mainly due to healthy mix of institutional and technological factors, and therefore it is rightly called the breadbasket of India. It is indeed a proud moment for all of us to have got the opportunity to learn from an eminent academician, Professor Lakhvinder Singh Sir, who is Professor and Head Department of Economics and Coordinator, Center for Development Economics and Innovation Studies, Punjab University, Patiala. He is founder, editor, Millennium Asia and International Journal of Asian Studies, Sage Publications, India. MLA is indexed in Scopus and ESCI. Sir is member Editorial Advisory Board, African Journal of Science and Technology and Development, Routledge Taylor and Francis Group. He is visiting research fellow, Seoul National University, South Korea, and also a recipient of Ford Foundation Postdoctoral Fellow, Department of Economics, Yale University, USA. He is currently Vice President, Indian Society of Labor Economics, Member Board of Management, International Joseph A. Schumpeter Society, Augsburg, Germany, with vast teaching and research experience with approximate 10 books and around 70 research papers published under his name. Sir has guided 20 doctoral theses and has submitted more than 10 research projects. His latest work is COVID-19 pandemic and economic development, emerging public policy lessons for India. We are indeed privileged and honored to have you among us here today, sir. Without any much delay, I would like to welcome you and invite you for this symposium. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gitanjali. Honorable Principal Dr. Nisha Bhargava, respected Head Department of Economics, Ms. Madhavi Bajaj, other faculty members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored to be invited in the very important college, but more importantly for me is that my class fellow, Dr. Nisha Bhargava, is heading the institution of higher learning and, making all efforts to make it a nationally well-known institute. I congratulate her for her, hard work as well as devotion to, make this institution of higher learning a very, very successful. So I'm humbled that you have invited me and showered a lot of good words, which perhaps I do not deserve. With these words, I express my gratitude to the institution, the department, and the college that you have invited me to interact with the faculty as well as to the students on a very important issue, which we are talking about Punjab. As you all know that we are passing through a situation of COVID-19, And in the second wave, Punjab is almost among the first three states of India, which is, bearing the, attack of the COVID-19, and people are suffering from that, and government is also very keen to tackle this kind of situation, but very difficult without the cooperation of the large number of people who are, living in the Punjab state as well as in moving around. However, you will find that the another very important aspect is that during this period of time, the farmers from Punjab, they have been, not only agitating in whole of Punjab, but they are also very importantly sitting on the doors of Delhi or borders of Delhi, and from the last 4 months, they are keep on doing agitation due to the kind of laws which are expected to, adversely impact the agriculture sector of the economy. As we talk about that, the food ball of India, Punjab is known as the food ball of India. But you know that the apprehensions of many of the farmers, leaders, and people who are analyzing this, they talk about that, it will devastate the kind of achievements which already we have had in the historical past. So keeping aside that, you'll find that you have asked me to, speak on two things. One is on the Punjab economy, and second is that recently the budget, which is the fifth budget of the Punjab government, the current Punjab government, that is the government under the leadership of the Chief Minister, Captain Amarinder Singh Ji. So I think that combining these two together is a great task, which perhaps I would like to consider it to speak on, and you are the judge that how you will be able to see that. And I hope that you may have at the end some questions and answer session, so that we will be able to interact those who are listening, because I know that in the pandemic times, I also feel unhappy that we are not able to directly sit together face to face and talk, because sitting face to face and talking is more engaging compared to what we are engaging on digitally. But you'll find that in difficult times, this is also a good way of interaction. This is a good way of learning also new things, because perhaps we have never thought to connect like this earlier, but now it seems that everybody is again connecting on the virtual world. And perhaps second best option, usually in economics we talk about, if we have to do evaluation, then you'll find that second best is very, very important. So now, to begin with, I would like to, give you some idea that you'll find that Punjab is a relatively much better economy, society, and quality compared to other Indian states. Long ago, I visited the United States of America, and the father of uh, optical fiber, I met him, and you'll find that we were discussing at the sidelines of the conference in the evening that what is the situation of Punjab. So he told me that during his visit to Punjab on the GT roads and other off roads, he was highly impressed that no other state of India is like that. So he considered that Punjab is a jewel, very rich state of India, but still he felt that the investment of the industrialist is not happening, and therefore you'll find that in the near future, the Punjab is going to suffer a lot. So I would not give you the figures of long ago when you will find that the Punjab started prospering, but I would like to just make comparisons in the turning point of the 21st century. In the year 2000, Punjab was, in terms of per capita income, was the #1 state in India. The rank was #1, and from the national average, the per capita income of India and Punjab, when we compared, Punjab was much ahead compared to the per capita income. So in the year 2020, you will find that Punjab is ranked among the major Indian states number 10th in terms of per capita income. And it is quite closer to the average of the Indian per capita income. So if we look into this kind of perspective, you will find that within 20 years period of time, the Punjab has slipped down in terms of the ranking comparisons with other states of India. Haryana is much ahead compared to us in terms of per capita income, but when you match in terms of general consumer expenditures, still you will find that Punjab is leading. So, but the overall, as we have done the social indicators, you'll find that when we compare with the states like Kerala, Punjab still has to improve upon in terms of gender education, in terms of health indicators, in terms of our infant mortality rates. So you'll find that the ranking of Punjab has not improved the way it should have been expected, although when you reach at a higher level, but it's very difficult to move ahead further until huge amount of efforts in terms of investment as well as programs are to be done. So if we look in terms of comparisons of social indicators of Kerala and Punjab, you will find Punjab is much backward compared to Kerala, and even Kerala happened to be low in terms of per capita income. That has gone much ahead because of good social indicators. So that means if you are not able to make investment in the social capital, so it's very difficult, to move ahead. So the dividend of the last 2 decades, which Punjab is now reaping, is that lower level of capital investment in Punjab and lower level of investment in both education as well as health. So therefore, our social indicators could not move to the direction which it was expected to do that. However, we are much better in terms of social indicators to many other states of India, but still you'll find that it is not compared to what we have in terms of economic prosperity and now the kind of social indicators which we have. So therefore, you'll find that keeping in view these things, you will find that the Punjab economy has been sliding down, and its end is difficult to see because the measures which are expected to be taken by the government seems have not been done. So therefore you'll find that the fundamental problems of the economy, we can see the kind of structure of the economy and the structural transformation. If we look, for example, the rate of growth of income in the economy, you will find that normally in Punjab was growing much faster compared to all India average. But nowadays, if you see the 2018-2019 rate of growth of both the India and Punjab economy, 2019 and 20 rate of growth of Punjab economy and Indian economy. So Indian economy has recorded more than 4% rate of growth of the economy, but Punjab economy 3.5. And you will find that the expected rate of growth of the Indian economy in the year 2021-22 is nearly predicted rate of growth is 12%, but Punjab's rate of growth, as is in the budget estimates, given 0.17, something like that. So that means it is closely zero. Punjab has assumed that the rate of growth is expected to be zero. So I think this is a very disturbing aspect of the Punjab economy, where you'll find that the reversal of the rate of growth was expected to happen, but the government has predicted that the rate of growth is not going to be as good as the national economy. So that means the national economy is growing at a faster rate, but you will find that Indian Punjab economy is lagging behind. So there are serious problems into it. When we look in terms of sectoral composition of the state income, we will find that the structure of the economy is quite good, but you'll find that the Y rate of growth is not picking up. The 26% of the income, state income, is being generated by the agriculture sector of the economy, which we call as the agriculture is saving the whole country in terms of providing food. And it's a, actually, when you look, for example, the pandemic times, the food stocks in Punjab came very handy to be lifted to other parts of India, and Government of India has started various schemes through which they have distributed food, and you will find that that is the kind of food which is surplus available with Punjab. And when we bifurcate agriculture into two parts, one is the income generated from crops, and the income generated from livestock. The income generated from crops is nearly 14%, and livestock is 9%. So you'll find that the rate of growth of crops is usually negative. So value addition done by the food ball of the state is turning out to be in most of the years negative, and in the last year it was a negative. So now the secondary sector, which is having 23.17% of the income of the state, and manufacturing is 13.81. So manufacturing sector has grown prior to pandemic at 1% rate of growth. So that does mean the industrial sector, even prior to pandemic, was going down. And in during the pandemic times, the first quarter having a 33% negative rate of growth by the Indian industrial sector. And India perhaps is equivalent, and government assumed that equivalent rate of growth is here. So that means we might have a negative rate of growth. So where will be the manufacturing sector in the this year and the next year? You can easily predict that the very difficult. The services sector is generating 50% of the income of the economy, and alone this sector of the economy having 7% rate of growth prior to the pandemic, and combined together we have 3.5% rate of growth. So that does mean that the Punjab economy has been growing at a slower rate compared to the national average. Therefore, it is expected that per capita income of Punjab is also going to be, converging toward the national average if we will continue to decelerate like the way we have been decelerating. So, what are the fundamental problems this kind of economy or structure is having? I have been for a long period of time examining the long-term growth and structure of the economy, and I have been of the considered opinion from my empirical estimates as well as theoretical understanding that Punjab has typically caught in the lower middle income trap, where you'll find that the structure of the economy has not been moving forward. It has been almost stagnated, and you'll find that for a long period of time we have had a higher dependence on agriculture sector of the economy. Therefore, the prosperity generated by the agriculture sector of the economy, if we look at the worldwide experience of the developed countries as well as the East Asian countries, the agriculture sector prosperity cannot be sustainable. Therefore, we have to develop the alternative sectors of the economy from where we will be able to have or reap the sustainable rate of growth of the economy, where the consistently per capita income can rise of the population, because the other sectors beyond agriculture, even then we have achieved very highest productivity, but the value addition is negative due to very high crop productivity. Punjab Agriculture University have made recent comparisons. They have talking about, if we combine together the productivity of two crops in Punjab and usually one crop in the Western developed countries, the combined productivity is much higher compared to the one crop in a year's productivity and the value addition of the agriculture sector of the economy. So therefore, achieving such a very high productivity and value in the agriculture sector of the economy, we cannot move much ahead if we will continue to depend on the agriculture sector of the economy. So what I have been usually saying, that Punjab is getting the dividends of overstay in agriculture over a long period of time. We should have diversified, moved ahead in terms of various sectors of the economy. We had a lot of opportunities, but those opportunities were not been, we were not able to reap. The reason, one of the important reason why this is so, because I believe, and my investigation supports that we have a dysfunctional fiscal policy of the Punjab government, where you have asked me to also speak on the budget. So the budget is basically a fiscal policy of the state government, and I believe also that since the Constitution of India gives exclusive right to the RBI and the central government to use the monetary policy, the state governments have a very little say in the monetary policy. So the only instrument, and you will find that commercial policy, that is external policy, the state government has no role at all. So therefore, you'll find that the only policy which the state government has is the fiscal policy in its hands. Although with GST kind of a system which has been recently developed, which is equivalent to 18% of the revenue generated by Punjab economy, that is also now in the hands of the central government. So therefore, increasingly, even the fiscal policy is moving towards the union government, rather than the state government can have a liberal way to do that. But even then, given the kind of constitutional provisions, the Punjab government has failed over a long period of time, not able to dynamically use its fiscal policy to change the dynamism of the economy and achieve the desirable transformation of the economy over a long period of time. It is not that one government has fault. I think that the whole political lot have faltered in terms of not able to generate enough kind of dynamism through the fiscal policy, as well as the governance management in the state, which should have allowed us to make a transition which was actually expected and required for the prosperity to be sustained, and the sustainability could have been achieved. So therefore, with these words, I would like to give you some kind of glimpses of the fiscal policy and where we are actually faltering. And the budget of this year is not a representative budget, because the fifth budget of every democratic government is expected to be the please all budget. That does mean that the government is expected to face election, and the 4 years consolidation which they have achieved, they are willing to lose that. And you will find that it is the next government which again has to come and propose 4 years again for consolidation, but you will find they will lose again in 1 year. So this is a cycle which we keep on doing. But I think that if we see even the statistics of this year's budget, we will be able to know the pathetic situation of the fiscal policy of Punjab. economy. And if you look, for example, the total revenue receipts, but before that, I would like to give you the figures related to the gross state domestic product, which was 6,530 crores for the year 2021, and the predicted gross state domestic product 6,07,594 crores. So that means the figure of nearly 10,000 crores is the net addition. And that's the net addition, which is coming out to be 0.175 rate of growth, which is a negligible zero rate of growth, which we can talk about. The revenue, which in the fiscal policy, which has been predicted, going to be 21-22, 95,258 crores. This is a budget estimates. Own tax revenue is going to be 37,434 crores, and non-tax revenue 7,758 crores. So now, if you look, for example, in terms of revenue, the state expenditure which has been proposed is 1,68,015 crores, which is a rise of 9% compared to the earlier. And the revenue expenditure is expected to be 1,03,880 crores. And when you look at the committed expenditure, it was rupees 59,796 crores. And this is around 57.56% if we include rate of interest into it, which is going to have nearly 71.95% is the committed expenditure. So if government of Punjab is having more than 70%, 72% nearly committed expenditure, so 28% of the total expenditure which is in their hands, they can do a lot of other things, and largely it goes in terms of subsidies. So I think that this is very important. But when we look in terms of the fiscal deficit, you'll find that in the pandemic year, the fiscal deficit has been estimated 4.69, where you'll find that the central government's fiscal deficit happened to be a little higher. It is more than 12%, but the next year fiscal deficit, estimated fiscal deficit is 3.99%. So I think that if you see the estimated income of the state, which is almost growing at a 0%, which I do not expect. So this next year, we will have a positive rate of growth. So that means the income is going to be higher. So therefore, you'll find that revenue generation capacity is expected to be higher. So these figures may have used the assumptions on the basis of which these fiscal deficit has been estimated. So these may not be, the real kind of estimations. Usually, the election years, a lot of expenditures and demands are expected to come, and you will find that there are a lot of demands when comes, expenditure goes up, and fiscal deficit, normally government borrows, and then the fiscal deficit goes up. So now, when we look at the historically why you will find that we have a difficult times in the fiscal policy of Punjab, because the accumulated debt over the long period of time, and I would like to remind you, when we talk about the mid-80s or the late 80s, the government of Punjab usually have a surplus budget. So they do not have debt problem at all, because they need not to borrow much, and therefore you'll find that they have a lot of revenue were being generated, and that revenue, is being spent, but surplus budget was always there. So after, that, when we had the historical problem of, the movement in Punjab, which has devastated the whole kind of developmental activities and institutions, and you'll find that a lot of borrowings because of security forces have been done. And since then, the revenue collection process was dismantled. The institutional arrangement could not function. And then you'll find that the most of the times we had the president rule and bureaucracy dominated over it. And you will find that at that time, the revenue raising capacity of the government has gone down. The development process and development expenditure has gone down. The capital expenditure has gone down, and it was the lowest ever. We have very low level of capital expenditure in Punjab, and even in social services, we were having a very low capital expenditure. And during this period of time, you all remember that India was undergoing a information technology revolution. And during this particular process of time, our institutions like educational institutions would have prepared to, prepare our human capital for getting such kind of jobs and bring in a lot of enterprises which deals with the production of ICT. And therefore, we passed the bus, and we were ignored that. So therefore, the diversification of the economy at that particular point of time, we have lost because of that and accumulated debt. So if you look at the debt stock today, which was talked by the budget, it was 2,73,703 crores of rupees, which was 45% of the gross state domestic product. And imagine this is where you'll find that we have debt stock of 45% of the gross state domestic product. Usually it is believed that when we are exceeding 30% of the GDP, then this debt is difficult situation. But the budget, the Finance Minister Sardar Manpreet Singh Badal has admitted in the budget that we have a worse than the debt trap kind of situation. So economy is a worse than the debt trap situation. So however, his claim happened to be that even if he is adding a lot of debt every year, but still his claim is that he has controlled compared to the earlier times. But figures are showing otherwise, that the two things. One is that the proportion of debt in the gross state domestic product is rising, as well as the liability, that is the rate of interest paid on the debt, is also rising. So that means it is having impact, a lot of impact on the actually the committed expenditure. And then you'll find that it is going to match soon the total amount of salaries and wages given to the government employees. This rate of interest paid to the central government is going to be equivalent. I think this is a highly adverse situation where you'll find that the Punjab economy has landed over a long period of time. So therefore, you'll find that this is a situation of the macro economy of the Punjab economy, and macro scenario in terms of the income growth, in terms of revenue generation, in terms of the debt stock. These are the variables which gives us the idea that actually Punjab economy is in a big crisis. And this crisis has been worsened over the period of time. There are no chances where you'll find that this crisis can be released very soon, because you'll find that requires a lot of sacrifice and a lot of efforts for the Punjab government. If we examine the kind of little bit ease of the Punjab government happened to be because of two things. One is that the Finance Commission of India has changed its formula for allocation of grant, allocation of the shareable taxes, as well as the grants, which usually central government has to impart as a constitutional responsibility, because we have more kind of responsibilities given to the states, and lesser responsibility are with the center, but more resources are with the center and less are going to the states. So this is a kind of a reversal kind of situation has done. But since it is also in the budget, the finance minister has graciously admitted that the transfer of resources the last year and the next 5 years period of time are much higher, from 1.53 to 1.8. That means we have a substantial amount of rise in the a share of the central taxes, which are going to be transmitted to the Punjab government, which is going to have a positive dimension on the fiscal policy. And second is the grant and aids, which are expected to come much higher compared to the earlier times. So this is a kind of positive development which has taken place, which allow some fiscal space to the Punjab government. Second important thing is that due to GST compensation, which during the pandemic times, the central government has withdrawn the kind of compensation expected to be given. But the alternative they have given was that you can have relax the fiscal rules, Fiscal Responsibility Act, and you will find that more you can borrow. But the another important thing is that during the pandemic times, 1 year borrowings, which central government is borrowing, rate of interest they will pay, but the debt we have to redeem. So I think that more debt stock is going to be added, and from the next year onward, the more rate of interest is going to be there. So this is, I think, that the kind of situation in which Punjab budget has talked about. But some of the important things which the budget has stated was that it was a welfare oriented, especially in the last year. Some of the contingencies due to COVID-19 arises. For example, the migrant labor which lost jobs was expected to go back to their homes. The trains were specially arranged. The expenditures were incurred. The buses are arranged for their travel, and buses were also arranged that the people who are held up in other states of India to return back, some of the foreigners, Indian living, the Punjabis abroad, they were also tried to brought in. So such a kind of issues which they have talked about. But the more important thing was that health institutions for a long period of time lacked investment. As I've told you earlier also, that the health and education was the two sectors of the economy which was expected to get the attention, but the expenditures were reduced. So we can see the kind of situation of our hospitals and all that. But during this particular period of time, hats off to our employed doctors and nurses. They have took a lot of risk, and some of the part-timers or contract-based, health care staff has to bear more responsibility during this particular time. They are agitating that their services are not being regularized. So we can see that the proposal of the Punjab government is that they are expected to generate or fill the vacancies of 48,000, which you will find that they have not filled up during the last 4 years period of time. They have kept waiting for the last year, and last year has come where you'll find 48,000 jobs, government jobs, they have to announce. Now when I estimate that the fiscal deficit and other indicators, one of the very important, missions, which usually the budget has not taken into consideration, that was the employees of the Punjab government, as well as the employees of the colleges and universities, especially the teachers over there. They were expected to get the 7th pay commission and 6th pay commission for the Punjab government employees. And that was the year 2016. So now there is a 5 years backlog, which is of the tune of more than 10,000 crores of rupees. So that means if we add together that amount of money which is not paid, then you'll find that this is the addition. If we will do you'll find that our deficit will go up, and you will find that our revenue raised has been eaten away by this. So that means the committed expenditure, which has been postponed over the last 5-year period of time, and now they have admitted in the budget that from 1st of July, this 6th pay commission of Punjab, including the 7th pay commission for the colleges and teachers, are expected to be implemented. And I think that if this is going to be implemented, it's a good one. But the backlog which have not been given, it has two effects. One is that it is the accumulated, unsaid, unaccounted for liability which has been generated, but government has to clear that liability. If next year or the next 4 or 5 years period of time, the liability is there, the debt is expected to go up, because government will not have that amount of money. They have to borrow that kind of money. The second very important aspect is that I usually believe as an economist that this is the money of wages and salaries, and DA installment, the inflation that is to be compensated. So now if this amount of money has been invested in the state of Punjab, because the largely the propensity to consume this section of society is very high, and even if the saving rate happen to be there, both are to be accounted for, then you'll find that if on the downside or the lower side we say the multiplier value is 3, you'll find that every year the state government has lost 42,000 crores of the state income, and that would have a cumulative effect on reducing the in terms of more taxes to be raised by the government, more revenue to be raised by the government. Government has lost that revenue also, and then you'll find that further multiplier effect on that. So I think that the government and the Punjab economy has lost for not paying this, but accumulating this kind of the kind of payments which they have been expected, postponed payments, going to have a debt addition in the near future, but reduced per capita income, reduced the state income. So I think this is not the wise step by the government of Punjab. If they have been wisely taken the advice of the social scientist or economists, perhaps Punjab economy could have been much better compared to where it is today. So therefore you'll find that this is also largely the people who are working in the education, health and other sectors of the economy, where you will find that they could have given the boost in terms of buying goods and services, and more revenue to the government, and more income could have been added to the state government, which and if savings happened, more investment possibilities could have been there for the private sector of the economy. So I think that this total kind of chaos which has been created. But if you compare Punjab with other states of India, all other states of India has implemented the 7th as well as 6th pay commission. So the Punjab has lagged behind, and the impact is only on Chandigarh as well as on Punjab, because other states have bifurcated from Punjab, Himachal and Haryana. They have already given the scales, areas and all that. And if their economies have been boosting in the last 5 years period of time, that is one of the very important reason why Punjab is lagging behind. This is one of the very important reason. I think that why the government and the finance minister of Punjab has not taken the advice of the gentlemen intellectuals who could have advised him that doing like this is going to generate a liability, but you are also blocking the rate of growth of the economy, reducing the per capita income. The long-term losses which you are going to have are much higher compared to what we have been doing. So anyhow, I think that the some of the decisions which has been taken in this year's budget, for example, opening up of medical colleges, Virology Institute at Amritsar, 3 colleges which are going to be opened up. I think that the opening up of a college is very simple with a little money, but you will fund the generating infrastructure is a long-term investment. So next 5-10 years period of time, the colleges are expected to develop. So either this is a liability going to be left this government on other governments, because why they have not opened up these 3-4 colleges in the beginning of the years rather than the end of the year term. So I think this is questionable, and similarly they have done in the education sector of the economy. You will find that the several kind of universities and colleges are opened up. It's a good thing. I think it's the right step, but you'll find that adequate amount of resources has not been earmarked in the budget. Very minimal amount of resources are kept, may or may not be actually disbursed. If you look, for example, the track record of the government, the budget estimates are higher, the actual estimates are lower. That means compression of expenditures, which has happened over a long period of time, showing that we are within our limits of the fiscal policy rules. I think that has given a lot of downside, the deceleration of the economy in the last 5 years period of time. So I think these are the fundamental problems which we have to talk about. Now you look, for example, that the agriculture sector of the economy, as you have also enlisted, and in the budget of the Punjab government, it is enlisted that this is a breadbasket of India, and you have to care especially the agriculture sector of the economy. So in Punjab actually is the bread ball of India, because it produces 90% of the wheat of India, 11.7% of rice. We have 2% of the area, 2% of the population of India, but the 19% of wheat, 11% of rice, 5% of the cotton of India, 7% of the milk, and 20% of the honey. So this is also given in the budget. So what is talked about in the budget is that this contribution of the Punjab state in the central pool, for example, rice 27% and wheat 32%. This is being used by the central government for distribution system in the country, and you'll find that this food is being subsidized by the government of India to give food to the people, and you will find that even our statistics related to hunger, related to malnutrition, you'll find the still are very, very high, and you'll find that people are not able to get the right kind of food and the minimum amount of food which is required to sustain the human beings as such. So now, what is very important here is that two very important points has been emphasized in the budget. One is that we have 14 lakhs tubules. Apart from Dr. Bhargava has talked about that we are having rivers and we have plenty of water, but you'll find that the sweet water from the aquifer every year which is lifted, we have a 14 lakh tubules which are electric, and on the electric tubules 7,000 crores of subsidy per annum, especially 2021-22 will be given. So I think this is the achievement which has been talked about by the finance minister, that to boost agriculture and to keep Punjab as a bowl of food bowl of India, we have to emphasize on agriculture sector of the economy. Second, which he has argued here, is that the Punjab agriculture for a long period of time suffering from several problems, including, as I've told you, that crop income is not adding positively to the state domestic product. So negative rate of growth are being achieved in most of the years. So therefore, the debt accumulated with the individual farmers is of the highest order. So he has argued that the debt waiver of 4,624 crores of rupees will be given to the small and marginal farmers, which are 5.83 lakhs. And they have also kept rupees 526 for the farm laborers, those who are working in the they are landless farm workers, and they are working in the fields, and they are also having indebted because of the wages are very low, and availability of wage in the limited period of time is there. So that is also, I think this is a positive step, because the labor has suffered for a long period of time, but nobody cared about it. But in this budget, because there is election, so therefore you'll find that this is the amount which has been kept. But still you'll find that this is, I consider this is a positive, at least, that farmers have still land, capital and all that, but the rural workers do not have that. So that is a good thing. For diversification, because diversification is long overdue, I can talk for a long that how diversification can be achieved. The Punjab government has not been able to, give a full-fledged program for diversification, where other states of India perhaps are trying to do that. But what they have talked about is that they have shifted area from rice to basmati. So I would like to inform this audience today, the traditional basmati which we have with us, almost 0% of the area is in the traditional basmati. This is not a basmati, this is a long staple rice. And this long staple rice is being fraudulently given the name basmati, and that basmati is being grown. So I think that Punjab government should admit that we do not grow basmati, but we sell on the name of the basmati, and consumers are being fleeced globally as well as locally, that actual basmati is not there at all now. It is the long staple rice, and the traditional basmati varieties could have been improved, and you will find that research could have been done, and those have been maintained and improved, and so that people could have the real fragrance of this river, or the land of five rivers kind of fragrance, special fragrance of basmati rice, because this is the area which has been traditionally over more than 2-3 centuries, because Guru Nanak has also done rice cultivation, and that was the basmati in Kartarpur. So I think that is the kind of basmati which we have lost completely, and government of Punjab sooner should realize that this is no diversification. This is actually non-basmati rice are being branded as basmati, and that should be not there. So they have talked about that They have several measures like that. The other kind of schemes for horticulture and others are opened up. But I think that the massive program comparing the environmental problems, comparing the agriculture crisis, comparing the negative kind of contribution of the high productivity food grain crops, we should diversify, and serious diversification plan is missing from the budget itself. So now today we are entered into the knowledge economy, and 21st century is being talked about as knowledge economy. We have only 51 crores are kept for science and technology and environment. This is a very meager kind of, and it is just the salaries and maintaining some of the kind of institution which you already have. So I think that the Punjab government is not serious about the research and development innovations, and they have talked about innovation missions and all that, but perhaps I think we have not seriously started about it, and we are now entered into fourth industrial revolution, which is a revolution of the knowledge economy, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, and many more new technologies, which are digital kind of technologies. We are expected to harness that revolution. I think no step has been seriously taken up by the government in terms of doing such kind of things. So if we overall look in terms of the budget, you'll find that the budget has been scattered grants on large number of schemes which they have been running, and marginally each scheme, even pension and all that, has been stepped up, because you'll find that this year is going to be the election year, and therefore the budget has been done. More specifically, the claim of the budget is that they have increased the capital expenditure, which earlier happened to be quite low, maybe doubled compared to the previous year's budget. The simple reason is that this expenditure is going to be handy to repair roads and the streets in the villages as well as in the urban areas. The reason is that you'll find that this is a vote catching kind of thing. The real capital formation, which is lagged behind for a long period of time, has not been able to systematically given the allocations which are expected to happen. So with these words, I would like to just say that there are possibilities, there are alternatives. Punjab required to work. This lecture, I can only say that there are a lot of possibilities where you will find that you can change the direction of the economy, and without changing that particular kind of direction, there is no possibility that we will not be able to succeed in terms of improving the livelihood and employment possibilities of the larger proportion of population which lives in India, lives in Punjab, but making the people hopeless. For example, I can give you the idea that Punjab is boiling not only in terms of harbors education, all sorts of employees, those who are employed and those who are unemployed, they're doing agitation every day. I think this is a barometer of that the people are highly dissatisfied and they do not have a hope. So government is expected to give them hope, and this budget perhaps try to enlist that they are going to they are going to open up the recruitment. But if that recruitment really happens, so last 4 years what they have saved in terms of budget, a reduced fiscal expenditure, this is going to multiply, because the expenditure on the salaries is expected to go up. Revision of the pay commission is also going to burden which you have kept for the last 4 years. The DA installments are not being given. That is also a again burden. So that means in the pandemic times, the large amount of employees have lost, and large amount of jobs have been lost in the private sector of the economy. So middle class actually, and the lower middle class and the poor people have suffered a lot. Perhaps the budget has not been able to address all these kind of issues which you will find that expected to be informal sector of the economy. Tourism, travel has suffered a lot, the services sector of the economy, and perhaps education and tourism and the full-fledged transportation facility, perhaps very difficult to come again to that particular level where it was prior to the pandemic. So I expect that these sufferings which are expected to happen and are happening perhaps have not been properly addressed in the budget, which could have been. I think that the good thing which I would like to say is that the last budget should be treated not very harshly. So one should, consider sympathetically, because the government has to show performance, government has to appease the people, government has to, spaciously scatter the grants so that every section of society shall expect to get something. I consider that you will find that this budget may not deliver even that, because actual expenditures are never the proposed expenditures. So therefore, the gap between the revised estimates and the estimated estimates are hugely downward direction, and therefore you'll find that may not be the true benefits where it is expected to reach, will be going to reach. With these words, I'm thank you very much. I hope that you are able to listen me properly, because connections sometimes are weak. But I'm grateful that you have patiently listened to me. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interact with the larger audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for gracing this platform as a resource person. I'm pretty sure our participants must have gotten insight knowledge about today's current Punjab economy status. So without any much delay, I would like to take the privilege to now invite our head of the department and co-convener of this program, Madam Madhvi Bajaj, whose able vision made it possible for us to organize and conduct this symposium, for a vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Lakhvinder.
Thank you.
We have always taken pride in fact that we are associated with the rich culture and tradition of Punjab, and here is one more reason to rejoice. Punjab, the breadbasket of India, is rightly called so because of outstanding achievement of its agricultural development. And Professor Lakhvinder Singh has aptly acquainted us with the various factors that contribute to progress in the field of agriculture made in the state. Thank you so much, sir, for familiarizing us with the factors that has played a major role in helping the state acquire the title break basket of our country. Our valuable inputs and information shared in such a simple terms made today's session quite insightful. Thank you, sir, for sparing your time. We look forward to interact with you in future as well. I express my warm gratitude to our respected principal ma'am for always encouraging us in efforts to enrich our knowledge in all respects. A big thanks to Dr. Gitanjali and Ms. Shireen and all the faculty members of the Department of Economics, who are source of my strength, who tirelessly work to make the events of our department a big success. I am beholden to Mr. Ashish for the technical support. My gratitude to the students for turning up in large numbers to be the major part of this symposium, a glimpse into the Punjab economy, the breadbasket of India. I once again extend my gratitude to respected Dr. Lakhvinder. Thank you very much, sir. Thank
you. So nice.
Thank you, ma'am. What we learn is the wealth we gather. I'm sure all of us have gained a lot through this symposium. Now, on behalf of PG Department of Economics, I would like to thank resource person for today, Professor Lakhvinder sir, for accepting our invitation Madam Principal, Dr. Nisha Bhargav, for giving us the opportunity and guidance to conduct this symposium. Head of the department, Mrs. Madhvi Bajaj ma'am, for the support and guidance. Thank you all, to all the participants, for being such a patient and keenful audience. I request to please fill the feedback form, which is in the chat box. And I also want to request everyone to please turn on your cameras for a group picture. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. It is done. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Shireen, I cannot see the feedback.
The feedback form in the chat box, ma'am.